All right, here we go. Ever New with Kris M. Smith and Hannah McCrane is about living out loud, forging lasting connections, and visiting with effervescent thinkers and dreamers. It's an uplifting hour that promises to leave everyone feeling better. So, who's up for some fun? Welcome. Let's get this party started. For those of you who are on my Facebook page right away, I want to be sure and have you come over to the link that I posted below the announcement on my Facebook page, because that way we'll be able to see you live. I'll be able to not see you live, but see your comments live, and we'll be able to post them actually so that we can read them for the people who are just listening and not able to view it. We already have 3 viewers. Woohoo! This is fabulous. Let me find out where the 4. 2 on my page. The 2 of you on my page, please come to the MDB Media link that I gave you there so we can talk to you. We have 2 others, one from ND Media and Roger. Roger, he just did a 4-hour show. I don't know if he's going to join us today, but if he does, you're welcome to join us, Roger. Hannah sent me a private chat so I can post a link up here. And I'm for you guys, and I'm going to do that right now. Copy. So I'm learning the ropes here, so excuse me, please. Banners. Nope. Yep, that's right.
You got this.
Should I post that one right now, and you can tell them what that is? Is that one of your favorite things?
That was one of the camera things.
Okay. Today we're going to start with just talking about some of our favorite things, because we both have some things that just give us an uplift. And one thing about Ever New is we want this to be an uplifting hour or longer. So I'm going to post this up here for Hannah, and she can tell you about it. And there we go.
So before the show, Kris asked if I had any zoo cams or aquarium cams I knew about. This channel is called Relax Time. It's on YouTube. And a lot of what it does is it shows you live footage from some kind of aquarium in the country. I don't know which one. But it'll show you stuff with sharks, coral reefs, stingrays, jellyfish. It's just really relaxing.
I have an aquarium here in my den, and it is absolutely relaxing. You can meditate watching these critters. And I have an actual one that the Audubon, I'm going to post up this one too. The Audubon has posted the 10 top wildlife viewing webcams, and it isn't just birds. It's bears and wolves and all kinds of thing. And if you're into that kind of thing, it's just really, it's fun to watch wild animals doing their wild thing. So I often go there to do that. And I have some other favorite. Oh, here's another one of Hannah's favorites. Tell us about Old Man Steve.
So I love Old Man Steve so much. You can find him on YouTube. Just search Old Man Steve, Twitter, Facebook, even TikTok. And it's really just this really kind, wholesome, sweet 83-year-old man in Texas who just wants to spend the day with you. He just takes you around where he goes. Sometimes he'll show you how to cook like a really simple meal. Sometimes he'll just talk to you or share a silly joke. He just views his viewers as his friends. You know, he'll open sometimes with "Oh, good morning, my little petunia blossoms," or something like that. And he's like, "I got my coffee, got my cookie, and today's going to be a great day." You know, it's really sweet, really wholesome. You know, he kind of took us to a pickle factory at one point or something.
Whoa.
Some kind of pickle thing. I think he likes pickles.
That's awesome. Okay, one of my favorite musicians of all time, whenever I walk, whenever I do anything at all, exercise at all, I take Beverly Glenn Copeland, goes by the name Glenn. He was a top secret. I mean, he was doing his thing forever and ever and ever for 30 years. And finally he caught on hot about 3 years ago. And now nobody can get enough of him. And I highly recommend, you can go to YouTube instead of going to that big long YouTube thing. You can just type in Ever New, which is how I got the name of this show. I love his song so much. ever knew, and Beverly Glenn Copeland, and you can hear him sing it for you. I absolutely adore him. I've known them, he and his wife, Elizabeth, for some years as Facebook friends. We have not yet met. We will someday because I really, really resonate with them. They used to do a lot of theater, live theater help in the same way that you do, Hannah, working with kids.
Yeah.
And they are just amazing, very creative, artistic, inspiring people. And this guy's music is just ethereal. It's absolutely wonderful. And I highly recommend you do that for meditation, exercising, or just to sit back and listen to somebody who is amazing. My other favorite thing is I am a, trying to think of the word, student. Yeah, I've been so long since I've been in school. I am a student of Deborah King, who is kind of like a life spiritual coach. And she has a wonderful website and blogs and live teachings and other courses that aren't live that you can take at your own leisure. And this is her website, deborahking.com. I highly recommend her. She's really, really, I've only known about her for about 6 months. And I always wondered, wow, why hadn't I heard about her before? So that's another one of the things that I really love that I highly recommend that you check out. Now I'll scroll down here and see if there's anything else. My website designer is Lisa Twining Taylor, and her website is dancinggoatwebdesign.com. So if you like my website or any of the other ones that she, there's my website. Oh, no, that's not my website. That's my email address. Let me do this. There it is. Wordwhisperer.net and Yellow Balloon Publications. She did both of those websites for me. She did another one too called chrisandcritters.com, but I don't have that up here to post.
She's very talented.
She's very talented. Yeah. And she discovered me. She was looking for a copywriter. She was living back on the East Coast, not on the East Coast, on the east side of Washington. And she was looking for a copywriter, and a mutual friend of ours brought her over. Turns out we're practically sisters from a different mister or brothers from another mother, you know. We both love goats. We both love cats. We're both animal people, animal advocates. And, you know, it's like the sibling you could have picked if you could have picked your siblings. One of those things. I want some more siblings, and that's mine. Hannah's my other one, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
So anyhow, she's really, really good. She can do a commercial website for you in a day, and the prices are great. And if you need a web design, or if you're an author who needs a website, there you go. That's a good one too. So anyhow, those are my favorite things. And let's see, I wonder if there's anything else I should post. No comments so far, but we do have eyes on the thing. So I guess we just did Joyride, the segment of the show called Joyride, the things that have given us smiles and joy and uplifts. Are there any questions about DeForest Kelley that anybody has? Because a lot of people came to me as a result of having read my books about DeForest Kelley. If you have a question or a comment, please put it in the comments section and we'll post it up here, and I'll either answer it or in some way respond to it. That's what we can do there. If I can get some comments in here. More people are joining us, so I think people are just shy right now. Yeah. Did you have any questions that you had stored up for me, Hannah?
Sure. So I remember in one of your books, I think it was, or you might have said it during a podcast, but Carolyn was kind of like insecure and was always afraid that Dee was going to find someone else.
Right.
When it was obvious to the rest of us that he only had eyes for her. But
absolutely,
would she get upset when he would have to have a relationship with another woman on camera?
He had very, very few of those, and they were very brief. You know, the one on City on the Edge of Forever. I don't think so, but I do know she was with him all the time. If he met a fan or if he went to do unless she wasn't feeling well, she would go to the conventions and stuff, and she was always with him because she was insecure. She wanted to,
Yeah,
and it was like,
for
oh
sure.
my gosh. Little did she, I mean, I guess maybe, first of all, her background was very, very insecure. She had an abandonment issue as a young child. Back in the day when people didn't get divorced, no matter how miserable they were, her parents divorced. And although she adored her father, she went with her mother because that's what happened in those days. And her mother moved to Seattle from wherever they were. She was born in Ely, Nevada. Her father, Jack, went to Montana, and her mother and she went to Seattle. And her mother was apparently a really troubled individual because she was very critical. And like she would go off to work and say, Carolyn, clean the house. And Carolyn would, because she was half scared of her mother. First of all, Carolyn was almost always farmed out to schools most of the time. Even at summertime, she rarely came home. Her mother was, her mother had a job, and that was her job. And Carolyn was kind of farmed out. So she rarely came home even for summertime.
That's a shame.
And when she did, yeah. And when she did, her mother would go off to work and say, clean the house. And Carolyn, being scared to death, would clean it like surgically clean it. But she wasn't a very tall person. She was only about 5'2" or 5'3", I guess. And her mother would come home and deliberately reach up way above where she could not possibly have reached and find a little bit of dirt and give her hell for that. She just never could get anything right with her mother, and her mother was always disappearing, and her dad had long since disappeared. So she had these abandonment issues and these
Understandably.
Yes, absolutely. And so Carolyn always felt, I think, based on the relationship they had was, and Dee constantly sent her notes, called her at noon. He always understood her. That's the neat thing about Dee. He understood where she had come from, and he was always made very, very sure to let her know, I am thinking of you. He went and did his work, and he came right home. He didn't go to parties. He didn't even do very many interviews. He came home because he knew that that's what she needed. So, it was kind of sad because that would be hard to live under, somebody who's that insecure, live with somebody who's that insecure all the time. When I'm trustworthy, I'm reliable. You can trust me. You can trust me. But some people can't trust. They've never known anybody they could trust before, and it's real, real hard for them to do that.
Yeah.
So that's where she came from. But she was absolutely a delight. She was effervescent and cheerful and giggly, and she was wonderful, but I don't think she knew it. I don't think she knew how wonderful she was, and so she didn't realize why Dee would even bother to stay with her as quote, as needy as she was. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you find somebody who, maybe, again, I'm just speculating, but it's a shame because I just figured, insecurity can really, really eat you alive if you're not, constantly reaffirmed and stuff like that. And he constantly reaffirmed her. He didn't do an appearance without mentioning, I've been married to this lady in the valley for the very same wife. He just was constantly reassuring her and the audience, I'm not going anywhere, folks. So it was lovely to see how he handled that. And it was lovely to see how much they loved each other. He was the right man for a woman like that. Absolutely marvelous. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
My camera is a little behind again. Sorry.
Okay. I have 2 comments. Let me see. Well, this one is for Roger. That's interesting. Oh, Cookie Sword probably won't be talking much today, but I am here. Thank you, Cookie Sword, for being here.
I love that name. Every time I just picture like this little cartoon cookie, just wielding a blade.
I do too. And let me put that up so everybody can see. It's Cookie Sword. verified that, not Cookie's word, it's Cookie Sword. And Ayesha, I hope I said your name right. Can I ask what might be a silly question? Why do you have he, him thing going on? Because I'm transgender, and my preferred pronouns are he and him. There you go. And that's a new person. Hello, welcome. Welcome, Ayesha. The other one is actually talking about NHL teams. So I think they logged on to the wrong podcast here. So anywho, more eyes. Come on in. If you're on my Facebook page, please come in through the other link that I posted below that, so that we can see your comments, because that's what makes this show really buzz. Did you have any more questions?
Sure. Here's one about you. When did you start realizing that you were a friend to them and not just a fan?
That took so very many years. I just kept thinking they were being terribly, terribly kind to a fan. I kept trying to repay them for being very, very kind to a fan. But I have to say it probably was as a result as when Dee fell ill at the end of his life and asked if I could come help them, that I realized that they trusted me, really, really trusted me, that they were not just being kind to a fan, but they really, really trusted me. And I had just gone through brain cancer with my mother, and they knew I was strong enough to do that. I guess I have to say it really, really hit home finally. I'm hard to convince. Maybe I'm insecure. Okay. Maybe I got some of that going on for me too, because I always tend to go, that can't be real. That can't be real. This is too good to be true. But the first thing was when they invited me to come in and help them when they needed help. That was huge for me. And the second time was when Terry Rio, who wrote Dee's biography, From Sawdust to Stardust, she asked me, how did you go from being a fan on the outermost reaches of fandom to being at his bedside when he passed away? And I didn't know the answer to that, which is why I wrote the book, to find out what the answer to that was. I thought that's something only Dee could have answered. She said, no, you can answer it. You need to just connect the dots. So I went into all my journals and I connected the dots and finally figured out what that was all about. But then she said to me, you realize you were the daughter they never had. And I started to cry. This was in a restaurant. I mean, I just started to cry, and I said, don't say that. And she said, why not? And I said, because if that's true, I didn't do enough for them. And she said, you did everything they asked, didn't you? And I said, yes. And they said, that's all they ever would have accepted, and that clued me in. I mean, they surprised me with a car, and that, I just was flabbergasted every single time they did anything, in quotes, big for me. I mean, I thought everything they did for me was big. Come over to the house and take all this Star Trek paraphernalia out of this box that they keep sending us, keep what you want and give away what you don't want. And that kind of stuff. I always thought that was just being super generous, and that they were being really, really, really kind. So, I just never started taking them for granted or as like really, really, but then I realized that my dream, before I met Dee and Carolyn very, very briefly at a parade once, literally for seconds, and wrote an article about meeting them that Dee got published in a national magazine. And where was I going with this? How did I start with that? Anyhow, I don't remember. My brain's going crazy. I was trying to answer the question, and now I don't remember.
It's too cold. We've all been trapped inside. Our brains are starting to rot. Normal
Yeah,
winter stuff.
That's it. And mom of whoopie-doo, mom
of a Star Trek junkie.
Yes, I know what that is. How often did you see them prior to his illness? I thought I hadn't seen them all that often. Here's the funny thing about your memory. Until I went back into all my journals and my stuff, I didn't realize how many times I had seen them. you kind of forget. And I thought during his illness, the last 3 months I was with him every day, often 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I thought that was probably the longest span of time I spent with him overall. But when I went into my journals and put together all the, you're reading it right now, Hannah, all the times we were on the phone together. I mean, I wasn't counting that. I was counting like in-person, physical, sitting down in a chair kind of visits, but we did way more talking on the phone and visiting, and then we did the sitting down thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So they were always inviting me to their conventions. I was always going to their conventions, either getting there on my own steam or they surprising me with trips to do it when I couldn't afford it. So I realized again in retrospect that I'd been with them, maybe not physically, but on the phone, which is physically, like you and I right now are together, even though we're sitting down together, but it's virtual. So we don't consider it necessarily real, which is not true. It is very real. That's what a phone call is. So
we were talking about one of your phone calls earlier when you had made the new answering machine thing. You know, it's like, hey, you've reached Kris and Kat. We're not here right now. We're up on the Enterprise in Med Bay, chasing after McCoy or something like that.
Yeah, I said, thank you for calling. Kris and Kat are in sick bay, pursuing our duties. So when you get a chance, please leave us a message. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Well, I called Carolyn. I wanted her to hear it. I wanted her to get a big laugh. But Dee answered the phone, and I started giggling. He goes, okay, what's the matter? Are you smoking marijuana or something? Just joking with me. And I went, no. And he goes, what? He goes, well, you call. What do you need? I said, well, I was hoping Carolyn would answer. He says, well, Carolyn's not available right now. How can I help you? And I'm like, I was going to have Carolyn call and listen to our new voicemail message and let us know what she thought of it. And he goes, oh, well, okay, I'll do that. And I'm like, oh my God, you know? So I went, okay. He says, so I'll call you and don't pick up the phone. So I hung up and the phone rings and rings and rings. And my little silly message, we're in sick bay pursuing our duties, you know, and I'm holding my breath. And obviously something happened and the thing shut off, and I picked it up to hear the message, and he goes, this Kris and Kat are in sick bay because they're sick, or something like that. I don't have it exact. I do have it on the audio tape, in the audio book. It's the actual thing is there in the audio book, and I called him back and I went, oh, so it's okay? And he goes, yeah, well, it's fine. And I said, well, can I add your response to that? And he goes, to my outgoing voice message. And he goes, sure. Yeah, go ahead. So I had this voicemail message that had McCoy on the end of it. Kris and Kat are sick, and that is the reason they are in sick bay. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Again,
that much better than I would have.
Another indication that they were getting a kick out of the silliness and all this stuff. So anyhow, and I knew they were
trying to call Carolyn for something like that, and Dee picked up. I would have panicked, and I would have done one of two things. I would have either hung up right away.
Yeah.
Or I would have panicked even more and tried to pretend I had like the wrong number. Uncle Tom? Yeah, that doesn't sound like you. You okay?
Yeah. Well, when he picked up, I panicked and I thought, because almost always when I did something like that, I always pushed it by Carolyn first. I did 2 stand-up Star Trek comedy routines, and one of them was called something about Bones the Dinner. Having dinner with Dee and Carolyn the first time, sitting down with him and trying to have a conversation with him, and how extremely nervous I was. That's in my book too. And when I told it to my mom and dad, they went, Kris, you can't give a comedy routine like that. They would let me lust all, in my other thing, husband hunting on the Enterprise, I was lusting after McCoy. That's okay. McCoy is a character, but you don't talk about being a complete blithering idiot when you meet your favorite actor because people are going to think you're nuts. I said, no, fans are not going to think I'm nuts. Fans feel like blithering idiots the first time they meet their favorite actor. It just is, But even so, I sent it to Carolyn for her approval. I sent both of them. I sent Husband Hunting on the Enterprise and the other one to her for her approval before I would ever do anything like that publicly. And she approved them and Dee approved them. And so I did them. And that was kind of what this was. I was like, I wanted Carolyn to see that and get a giggle and think that is really cute, or no, don't do that. And it turned out Dee was the one who did it. So yeah, that's kind of how that was going. And Aisha said, thank you for answering. I'm a transsexual myself, and identifying in that way isn't something I do, but I suppose the state's somewhat different. Well, I did it because people have known me for so many years as she, because of my books and my association with Dee. And I came out as transgender about 5 years ago when I wrote the book Womb Man, How I Survived Growing Up in a Booby-Trapped World. Because I had heard about so many transgender kids killing themselves. And I'm like, I'll put this up. Well, that's not where I want to put it up at. Let me find this thing, Brand. This one. And George Takei had come out as gay, and I'm a very mini celebrity in the Star Trek world. And I thought, we need to start talking about stuff like this, because we can't have kids killing themselves. We have to let them know they're not alone. I thought I was very, very, very much alone until about 15 or 16 years ago when I started to do the research on the internet about what is intersex. I may have been born intersex, not transgender, but I don't know that, and I never will. And so I just started to, my family still calls me she and her. They just can't get over the other. And I don't want anybody twisting themselves into a pretzel. Those are my preferred pronouns. If you don't do it, if you mess up, I'm not going to have a cow and I'm not going to get mad. I do it to myself sometimes because I almost have a before coming out and an after coming out, wall in my head. When people talk about being Dee and Carolyn's daughter, yeah, at the time I was being identified as a female. So it is what it is, and it's okay. That's mostly what I want people who are worried about transgenderism to worry, but don't worry about it so much. Treat people like people. You'll be fine. And if you mess up, apologize, ask what they prefer and respect that, as often as you can, but don't bend yourself in a pretzel, because nobody wants you to do that. We all want to be treated like people. So anywho, did you have any other questions? I'm not getting any. I've got lots of eyes, but no comments at the moment.
All right. How about this? You have 10 minutes more with Dee. What happens in the 10 minutes? Like, this is pre-illness Dee.
Pre-illness Dee. I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet, because I think I was able to tell him everything I wanted to tell him. I don't think I left too many things unsaid. But if I still had, if I could say something now, post-death, yeah, I would like to tell him how much his career and his personality has continued to influence people all this many years later. That the gentleman that he was is sorely, sorely missed in today's world of tearing each other apart and being unkind to each other. I think he was one of the most wonderful human beings that ever lived. And in the way that he made everyone feel beloved. And I think the people who still have that in their hearts really, really continue to resonate with him. And I think he would love to know that. And he already knew that there were many doctors and nurses and technicians in the field that got into the field as a result of his, being a role model for them. So that was something he knew before he passed away. But I know one time in Dan Madsen's magazine, he was interviewed, and I don't know if it was Dan Madsen or another magazine, but they asked him what he would like his legacy to be, and he said, well, first of all, I hope people will remember there's nothing deader than a dead actor, and I immediately wrote into that magazine and said, excuse me, you will be remembered, and I wasn't sure I was all that fired certain, but I am now, because people still resonate with him. Some of the fans who reach out to me now are literally 10, 12, 14 years old. They weren't even on the planet when he was, and they're meeting him, falling in love with him, and wanting to know as much about him as they can. And I direct them to YouTube interviews and, different things to help them as best I can meet him. And also that's why I wrote my book. I wanted people to realize, a lot of people told me, gee, he seemed like a nice man. And I wanted them to know he was a nice man. He was salt of the earth. And so I wanted to document it as best I could so that people would feel secure in their knowledge. They have really good taste in human beings if you love DeForest Kelley, because he was a wonderful person. I got some more comments coming in here. Let's see. Life is not all smooth sailing, and I can understand that. And I'm a Star Trek fan myself. Oh, here comes Charlie. This is a little kitty I rescued. She was living in a really stressful environment, and I rescued her. And she was very, very stressed when she first got here, but she's not anymore. She came to me named Charlie because of that little mustache on her face. I don't know if you can see it, but
Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin, yes. Cookie Sword said, that's one of the reasons I love Star Trek Discovery, because it actually shows LGBTQ characters. It's one of the first shows I watched with good trans characters. Correct. Aisha, all right. Well, let me click on this thing. I also do creative writing, and Trek is what I write about. It's not brilliant, but it gets me through. Well, okay, do you have a URL? Don't give us that kind of information and not give us some ability to get what it is you do. If you have a URL, Aisha, please send it to me and I will post it. That would be great. I would love it. Congratulations. I'm glad to see what Trek is doing for people. It continues to inspire people and to give them hope and help them realize we're all in this together. So, all right. No comments, so we can keep palavering as long as we want to here.
I have another question. It's not really about Dee, but I wanted to know, since someone said that they do a creative writing about Star Trek, I wanted to know what your opinion on fan fiction is as an author. When I was in college, I took a creative writing course, and I don't know, my professor just started going on this massive rant. This is a 3-hour class for over an hour on how horrible any kind of fan work is. And if she caught us writing anything about her work, she would not hesitate to sue. Then she calmed down for a half hour and got back on it for the rest of the class.
Wow, that's interesting. No,
she asked, who here writes fan fiction? And I'm just looking around, who's digging their own grave? And eventually someone in the back did raise their hand, and I'm like, you stupid,
Fan fiction is a wonderful, wonderful thing. There's a lot of very, very good fan fiction. And I believe the Sahaj series is excellent. Spock's Son. That's a very excellent series. There are just a lot of really, really good fan fiction. The studios have been very generous allowing people to do that kind of thing. They got a little stickier when fans started making professional quality movies, and they started suing and saying, now you are, you're basically taking away money that we have the copyright to. But when it comes to fan fiction, where people really aren't making more than $5 or $6 on their, stories, I don't think they care. I still don't think they care about that. And what better, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's absolutely great. It also gave me, as when I was coming up, the first stories I wrote were about Roy Rogers because I was a Roy Rogers fan, and then Stony Burke, and then Star Trek. And just as I evolved and these other series came along, I was writing fan fiction about those characters. Because unlike many writers, I'm not a particularly descriptive writer. I'm an anecdotal writer, and I usually write mostly, I would say, dialogue, an awful lot of dialogue. And since fans already know what Spock and McCoy and Kirk and everybody look like, I never had to describe them. All I had to do was, throw them in the middle of a conversation, and off we would go. So for me, it was about the words and the philosophy of Star Trek and stuff like that, and throwing them into, dangerous situations that they had to get themselves out of. So I think it's a really, really, really great outlet for people who want to try their hands at creative writing. One of the sad things I think about, hi, baby, I love you too. Yeah.
Aw.
One of the sad things I think about people who say at first saw the Harry Potter series before they read the books was they didn't involve their imagination before they saw the movies. When they read the books, they were seeing these actors as these various characters. Whereas if you read the book first, you came up with who these characters were, what they looked like. In fact, I was at Warner Brothers when the Harry Potter series was being filmed, and one of the kids who had been a Harry Potter reader wrote to the studio and gave them heck because they put Harry Potter's scar in the wrong place on his forehead in the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, the studio practically turned itself upside down, sending them special stuff, to say, yeah, we understand that, we'll fix that, thank you for noticing. And, had Bugs Bunny steps, or somebody send them a bunch of, bling, to say, yeah. So that's one thing that fan fiction does. It will help you in some ways because you already have defined characters, but it also says put them in their own adventures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See how well you do that. And that gives kids an opportunity and adults, a lot of adults do it too, an opportunity to put them in various situations. So I'm all for it.
Great.
Cookie Sword says, I'm 15. And while I never shared the earth with him, it almost feels like he's still here just because of how wonderful he was. That's true. Yeah, that's kind of like how I feel with Betty White and Steve Irwin and some of these people who lit up our lives, lit up the earth, lit up the universe with their specialness. And it's great. What kind of a legacy is that to leave? It's just amazing. Oh, here's interesting. Oh, this is interesting. I love Christmas. This is your sister, I think.
Yes, it is.
Here's a question. If DeForest Kelley was a color, what color would he be? He wore blue a lot, but I want to say yellow because yellow is one of the rarest colors in nature and it stands out. But on the other hand, one of the things Dee did best was blend in, which was why you could feel so comfortable with him so fast. He didn't let you keep him on a pedestal. He would immediately bring it down to earth and put you on a level playing field so that you didn't have to feel so all fired nervous around him. But I would say it's a toss-up between yellow and blue, and probably robin's egg blue. Yeah. Cookie Sword says, I love how fan fiction can bring fandoms together. Yes. I found fan fiction about fandoms I never thought existed. I found Warlock fan fiction even. And I think it's really cool that it brings those people together. Warlock meaning in witches and warlocks, or the TV Western that Dee was in, Warlock? Not sure. I would love to know if Cookie Sword could let me know.
It could be both. Yeah,
Right.
I have found a crossover fan fiction.
Uh-huh.
Years
Yeah.
ago, I found, and I kind of wanted to see where this was going to go, but there was only one chapter, where suddenly the crew of the Enterprise finds themselves at Hogwarts.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Dumbledore's like, "Hey, welcome. You are not children."
Uh-huh.
Well, let's get you sorted anyway.
Right.
So the first chapter was really just them being sorted, and
Yeah. Well,
spoiler, they were all in Hufflepuff.
oh. Well, okay. So why didn't the person continue? Was it
I don't
really
know.
Wow. I
I'll
just
have to see if I can try to find it again. They might have. It's been a few years since I've read it.
Yeah. My kitty just lost her head.
Oh no.
It's kind of floating in the ether there. Yeah. Oh well.
I think you would be a Hufflepuff.
Do you?
Maybe like a Hufflepuff or a Ravenclaw.
Okay. I read it and I don't remember who's what's.
Okay, so Hufflepuff is for like the kind, loyal, patient people. Ravenclaw is for the witty, the wise, people who are very smart.
Amy, who joined us last week as a co-host, just put Hufflepuff Pride.
Yeah.
Hey, Amy, we would love to have you join us if you can. I believe I sent you a link in your IM, but you are joining us, and if that's the way you want to do it, that's okay. But we'd love to have you join us as a co-host if you can. Oh, Tammy Armstrong has the day off. Yay. I bet because of the weather, huh? Going back to the conversations, I would have had a cotton mouth and if I was talking to DeForest on the phone. I had a really, really funny, before I ever talked to Dee on the phone, there was a cartoon that came out of a little girl saying, pretending she was going to be meeting her boyfriend, Derek. And she was rehearsing what she would say. Oh, hi, Derek. Oh, how surprise. What a surprise. Whatever. And she's rehearsing what would she say if Derek should actually ever call her. And the phone rings right during she's doing it. And she goes, could someone answer that? Like, I don't dare. It might be Derek. And I actually took the REK off and I put D. Oh, hi, D. How are you? Oh, how? And then ring. Could someone answer that? And I actually had sent them that cartoon at one point. Carolyn said, cartoon is very clever. Okay. Cookie Store says, we have the Hufflepuff gang here. And right here I have Aisha again. I'm 65, but here is a little taste of my writing. Wow, okay. Simpson appeared in the shuttle bay. And Tespera headed for him. Lieutenant Commander Tespera reporting for duty. I am the security chief for this vessel. Simpson glanced quickly at her. Welcome aboard. I suggest you report to the captain. She will inform you of your duties aboard the pathway. Simpson then moved further into the bay and the confusion which bounded. Finding a cargo container, he stood on it. Stand fast, people. Let's get this. Okay. Not bad. That's pretty good. Not. Yeah, that's very good. Yep. You got it. Oh, Amy says, I would love to, but just returned from a walk and I'm a bit of a mess. Well, hello. Do you think we care? But that's up to you. I know that's up to you. We're going to be on for another, 15 minutes or 30 minutes, or if Amy shows up, maybe even longer. So if you want to, you can. Please do. Have either of you seen Jesse Gender's Sex and Star Trek video on YouTube? I've only seen the first section, but it's really interesting. No, I have not.
No, I haven't either.
No.
I know Adam Nimoy saw a Spurk video on YouTube. Someone took, all of these Spock and Kirk moments, took the context out of them and smashed them together.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of
love song in the back. And to quote Adam Nimoy, he said, it was pretty damn compelling.
Yes. There's a lot of fan fiction where Spock and McCoy are lovers. Yep. I guess they couldn't say the same thing of Spock and McCoy because they seem to not get along terribly well.
Yeah, they do. I've read some stuff with them. It's called Spones.
Uh-huh. The thing about McCoy was not that he was didn't like Spock or was racist or in any way. He wanted him merely to recognize and acknowledge and honor his human half.
Yeah.
He realized that there were things that Spock could have gotten a lot, could have evolved in different ways. And actually, as the series and the movies progressed, he did. He began more to acknowledge his human side. So,
I was looking on Tumblr the other day, and I saw quite a few people saying that McCoy was racist.
Yeah,
Vulcans, and I'm just, excuse me?
Right, yeah. Right. No, he was not racist. A lot of people are taking our generation's, not yours, ours. I mean, I'm speaking of 70 and olders, racism and extrapolating it to another century, during which I hope we don't have that going on. And Paul Winfield, who played Captain Terrell, said DeForest Kelley was the least racist white man he ever met. Even though Dee grew up in the South, and Dee carried that in his wallet for the rest of his life. It was in his wallet. He had this little snippet of Paul Winfield saying that because it affected him so. But when Dee had a black friend when he was growing up. In fact, when he got into Star Trek and he went back to Atlanta to do a a radio interview, he tried to find that young man's mother, because he said, I will never forget it. They lived on the most aptly named street in my hometown. It was called Needmore Street. And he told us this on the trip up to Shambhala to meet Deacon, my serval. He said, I was hoping to find her so that I could help her out a little bit, because by that time he had some extra money and he really wanted to help her out. So he realized, what kind of lives they had led just because of the color of their skin, and he wanted to help them out. So, yeah, Cookie Sword. Yep, that's true. Spock and McCoy do fight like a married couple sometimes. And there was more to that, but I wasn't aware of a word limit. But the ship is NCC and USS. Well, okay, Ayesha, how can people get in touch with you to get your story? Do you want to put up an email address or something like that? Or should they get in touch with me and we can do it that way, or whatever you want to do, if anybody wants to get your stories. So, all right. Anything else? Oh, we got a love and some likes. Ooh. Oh, Tammy's loving us. I'm loving the fact that Tammy is here. I wonder if Tammy would join us live. Tammy, would you join us as a co-host? I don't know. She might be really, really shy. I have no idea. But if you would be willing to, let me know. There are 3 people at NDB Media, 3 people on my Facebook page. People on my Facebook page, please come to that other link so I can get your comments live. There's one on NDB Media, and there's one on, and Roger's logged in too, but he's not co-hosting today. He just went through 3 or 3.5 hours on his own show. So, and it's tax time. He's doing taxes when he's not otherwise occupied. So, any more questions? We got lots of eyes. This is awesome. Okay. I'm not shy. I'm only Cell. I'm sure it all. I'm only not sure it. You're only Cell. I wonder. Tell you what I'm going to do. Copy. I am going to put this for GE. Let's see, I'm trying to find this live link. This right here if you want to join as a co-host, I know this is opening up ourselves to the absolute world. And if I don't know you, I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to bring you on. But this is where, Tammy, you can try to get on. And anybody else, if I really, really know you, go ahead and log on and we'll see who shows up. That would be fun. That'll be fun. We'll do a little bit of an experiment. I can't type. Oh. It's on cell phone. Okay. Okay. There isn't a complete story per se, but if you input USS Pathway into Facebook, you can read it. The bit I released to social media. Okay. USS Pathway, for those of you who want to know more about that. Okay. Well, see, there's a lot of people watching and nobody's trying to get on here and interact live. Charlie is. Charlie loves to interact live. Charlie loves to sleep live anyhow.
The three of us must be entertaining by ourselves.
I guess so.
You, Charlie, and I.
Yeah. Bring here. Is your dog where you can bring her in again?
Let me see.
Okay. You did that before, and that was awful cute.
Sadie!
Her dog is way bigger than my cat.
Come here, baby. Come on. I see your shadow. I know you're there. Come here.
She says, am I shy?
Sadie. The one time she turned shy. Come on. Come on, babies. Good girl. Come here.
Now we'll do a Betty White pet set segment. Oh my gosh, I've been watching the Betty White pet sets. And, you know, I used to work with, I was a student at Gentle Jungle, Ralph Helfer's Gentle Jungle. Isn't she beautiful? She is just beautiful. Hi, Sadie. Woof, woof. Woof, woof. Hi, Sadie.
What was that? Is that the woof, woof?
Woof, woof. Woof, woof. I understand with your nor'eastern happening right now, you have, Sadie wants to be outside all the time.
Yeah.
No, because that means you would freeze.
Yeah.
If you went out with her. Is your yard fenced so she could go out on her own?
Yes. Yeah, but our one neighbor has a huge dog, and we don't really trust.
It could go over the fence and get her.
It might be able to break through the fence.
Tammy saying, hi, Sadie. In my completely unbiased opinion, she's the cutest dog ever. Yes, she is. Very, very cute. I'll take that.
What's going on? What's going on?
So, there we go. We got kitty cats going on and puppies. She says, what dog? Where's a dog?
You see the cat? You see the cat? It's not the one who comes into the yard.
Anyway, if you want to come in as a co-host, anybody, you can do it. Now is your chance.
She prefers to stand on your thigh and get scratched.
Yes.
Yeah?
It's okay. That works.
It's okay. What? What do you want?
The members of your household are telling
Yeah.
she needs a haircut. I don't think she needs a haircut. Not in the weather you guys are experiencing right now. I just saw a picture of your backyard. It looks like you have 8 inches of snow out there, and more is coming. What, until 8 tonight?
Until 7 tonight.
Yeah. You're gonna need.
All right. Yeah, she's done.
She's gonna need all that hair.
No.
Yeah,
she's done. Her patience is up.
Yeah. Well, I wish Charlie's was. She says, I have all the patience in the world. It's called sleep. It's called sleeping. Okay. I guess nobody wants to join us. Well, how come I keep getting that popping up there? Is it still highlighted? I really wish I knew how to run this thing a little bit better. Since I sound like Kermit the Frog and my anime figure collection might offend people, I don't think Johnny Live would be a good thing. I don't know why anime figure would offend people, but okay.
I don't either.
Like Kermit the Frog.
Who doesn't like Kermit the Frog?
Really? I have to head out and eat an early lunch since I'm doing a Zoom scrapbooking session with my friends. Oh, hey, and you, Amy, give us a link before you go, if you can. Give us a link to your Zoom scrapbooking session. And I will, that is if other people are invited, please. And I'll post it here. And then you can go, Class is dismissed. She's a teacher and she's about to retire after this season. So we hope to see her more often here on Ever New. But please do, Amy, if you're hearing my voice, if you're still within the sound of my voice, send me the Zoom scrapbooking URL so people can join you there. She's amazing. Her scrapbooking is just amazing. She's been doing it for years and years, and she could work for Hallmark. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's a closed session. Okay. Okay. You can follow her on Instagram at the Creativity Playground. There you go. That's how to get into her closed sessions. Join up. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Well, it's all been almost an hour, and we don't have any comments coming in. Oh, last week when Amy was with us last week, she told us, people should really get into the habit of sending cards out. So I sent her a card, and she said she loved it. It was not a fancy creative card. I did do scrapbooking for a while, and I have some, but I didn't think about pulling one out. And I'm glad you liked the card. Hang on to that. I hang on to all my cards. So.
I still have mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The ironic thing was, I got a card in the mail, but it was my dad's birthday.
Oh. Well. I remember that because I said happy birthday to your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also going to show a picture of the card you tried to show during one of the test things. And you couldn't. It's the picture that's on my card. Yeah, there it is. Here's the actual better image of it. I mean, one that isn't going to flash in and out. That's what's on the front of my cards. That was my little serval son Deacon. So, oh, got a comment. Let's see what we got. Oh, Squirrel Lake was with us. Finally able to sign on. Well, Squirrel Lake, please ask us a question so we can stay on longer. We were just about ready to log off. Roger says this happens a lot of times. People will say, oh, well, I think we better go, and then more people log on. Squirrel Lake, please say something, do something. Actually, you can join us live if you want to. And I will give you that. I will give you that link so you can come on right there. If you'd like to come and join us as a co-host for a few minutes, hey, that would be fun. We'll see what happens. We got some loves. We got eyes on the prize. We've got Aisha saying that anime is Japanese, their standards are somewhat different to Western's ideas of, let's say, normal. Yeah, I know. I'm aware of that. Yeah. I've been with you through my phone. Oh, I don't know if you can need new laptop. Okay, well, she won't be joining us then. She's coming through the phone. Okay. Okay. All right. Have I missed any of the? I'm going to go up through the comments. If you have handy something you'd like to say while I'm going through the comments to see if we captured everything, you can, or we'll have some pregnant pauses going on here.
Well, my mom thinks I should write a book about.
I think you should write a book too. Yeah.
about different chaotic things that happened to me in my school days, so I could tell like a story from that, and you guys can let me know if you'd actually be interested in reading something like that.
I would. Absolutely.
All right, so at this point in time, I'm about 7 years old, so that's first grade. We're all the way home from school. I'm on the bus. My family knows where this is going. They've heard this many times. And from the very back of the bus, I start hearing people chanting, "Fight, fight, fight, fight," and it's just getting louder. And me being 7 years old, I'm just, all right, fight, fight, fight. You know, not really entirely sure what's going on. But bus driver gets up, and it's happening at the last seat of the bus. So he's, all the way back there, and he was a bigger guy, so he had to just squeeze in between, each seat. And so he's grabbing these 9-year-old boys, and he's trying to pull them apart, and they're reaching around him to try to hit each other. And so finally he gets them apart, and he sits them back down in their seats. And this happened in sync. Everyone just turns back around at the same time because we were all watching, and then they're screaming. The bus is moving. He did not stop the bus.
Oh my gosh.
So I remember being 7 years old in the front seat and just being like, I'm the first one. I'm the first one. I'm the closest to the front of this bus. I die first. So thankfully we were in an area where there weren't really too many people actively on the road. It was mainly retirees. So there was no one on the road, so that was good. And we would have just gone into an open field. But at 7 years old, that's still terrifying. Right. So he's squeezing through the seats again, trying to get to the front. And he's able to turn the bus about a second before we would have gone off road.
Oh, wow.
And it's just silent until we get to the stop, which wasn't that far anyway. And somehow the guy was not fired. I don't know how he kept his job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Would anyone be interested in just reading a bunch of chaos stories like that?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Have I ever talked to or met Michael Okuda or his wife? Yes, I have talked to and met both of them. We're not close friends, but we know each other just as a result of being fellow stars. And we all worked in Hollywood. Well, they continue to work in Hollywood. I worked in Hollywood for 13 years and went to a lot of conventions, and they were at some of those conventions. So yes, I do. Tammy says, wow, I would have panicked. Yeah.
We did too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Squirrel like she's on laptop now. I wonder if that means I should put up the join us thing again. Let me see. Where's my banner? And where's my... I believe that's it right there. If you want to join us for hosting live, co-hosting live. It'll be fun if we do it. Yeah. Can I put you down, Charlie? I tried to put her down a minute ago and she grabbed onto my shirt like, no,
Dad.
No, please don't do that. I'm going to put you down. Thank you. Yes, I get way too relaxed when I'm holding a cat. So, anywho, all right. Well. I guess we could revisit our favorite things while we're waiting for people to comment. Here comes a comment. This is one of Hannah's favorite things right there at that. How's the weather? It depends on who you ask. I bet you have a nor'easter. How are you doing, Tammy? You're up in Ontario, Canada. Hannah's got 26 degrees, maybe a little higher now, and at least 8 inches of snow with more coming in New Jersey. Sorry. And I'm about 26 degrees, bright and clear, and I'm not going outside because it's too cold. So. And how are you doing with your weather? Where's my cat again? My cat, I put her down on the floor and she's washing her face right now because it's about 10. Burr. 4 inches of snow.
Dang. I'm so sorry.
You got us beat. Yeah. Okay, let me put up some more banners of favorite things. Oh, for those of you who are interested in any of my books, there's my Author Central page. I really should remember to do that at least once a show. My favorite singer, musician is Beverly Glenn Copeland. That, if you just type in Evernew at YouTube and Beverly Glenn Copeland, you'll get access to one of his songs. Oh, you can tell us about this, Hannah. How soon do you know how that will be going?
Yeah, so a friend of mine, he and I have a podcast called The Ups and Downs of Paul and Tom. And it's kind of like in the style of old-time radio where you would hear dramas, in that we're telling the stories of these two boys who are trying to get through life, but they have abnormal parents. They're dealing with a love-struck crazy girl and a bunch of characters who can just go from completely calm to furious and freaking out in seconds. Their lives aren't normal, and they're just trying to grow up and live their lives, but that's kind of hard.
And how soon will that be going again?
I hope soon. We ran into a little rough patch a couple weeks ago. Something came up, but I hope we can get back to it soon.
Good. Let us know so that I
will
point people to you. That's where it'll be, and we'll let you know if it goes live between now and the next podcast in 2 weeks. We'll let you know as soon as possible when you can access it again. We have comments. Let me come down here. Being British, we don't really have school buses like the States, but that driver would have been sacked on the spot. We're 1 degree centigrade with frost. 1 degree, that's like 32 here, 32 or 33 here, Fahrenheit. Well, here's a plug nut from me. I highly recommend Kris's books.
They are very good.
Well, thank you. Okay. I'm looking for, I think I've answered all of the questions that were here. Amy didn't send me the link. Oh, yes, she did. We already talked about that one. So. Oh, and Squirrel Lake does too. Okay, there you got 3 recommendations from people other than me to read my books. I'll put it up there, the banner up there again. Actually, if you want to read like excerpts before you make that decision, you can go to the one that's scrolling down below, yellowballoonpublications.com. There are some excerpts there and some reviews there. But my Author Central page at Amazon is right there. You can also just go to Amazon and type in Kris M. Smith or Christine M. Smith, and my Amazon page will pop up for you. So, all righty. Well, I think might as well wrap it up. I'm not getting, another comment. See what happens? Oh, Squirrel Lake has read all of my books. All 16? Oh, wow. I need to send her
a well-read squirrel.
I need to send. Would Carolyn been insecure if I had a chance to hug DeForest? Yes, but she would have let you hug DeForest. She always kept saying, "She's not much of a hugger. She's not much of a hugger," but she was a good hugger. She was hoping you wouldn't hug him, but yeah, she would have been insecure, but she would have let you hug him. Yeah, that's kind of sad. I mean, I wish she was more secure. Squirrel Lake has read all of them. I am impressed. Thank you. See, here's one of the people who helps starving artists right there. There you go. That's awesome. Well, it's really nice. If somebody buys one of the books and says, "Oh my gosh, like the way he writes," then boom, then they get another one, and oh, I like that one too, and
Mhm.
that's how it happens. I have about 4 or 5 people who have told me they've read all of my books, and that just blows my mind, and it blows me away and makes me feel very,
Is that
very
including a Squirrel Lake?
good. No, no. I'm not sure who Squirrel Lake is. Oh, Jano. Oh, Gino. I did not know you had read them all. I had no idea.
Jano!
Jano. I did not know that. Um, Ups and Downs of Paul and Thomas. Awesome. It is very funny. 4-star some funny. 4-star some funny. Is that what that means?
I don't know. But thank you.
Yeah. Shame. What shame?
I think they're talking about Carolyn being insecure with
Oh, yes. Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jana.
I think that's probably true. I sent you the photos of D that I took at the convention. Yes, you did. Yep. I wonder if I should put some pictures up.
I wouldn't be opposed.
I could put some pictures up. Here is a cover of the book, the Up Close and Personal book. I guess I better shut down the banners if I can figure out how to do that. I don't know. One of them always wants to stay up. So I guess we'll just let it stay up.
See, the great thing if we had 3 hosts would be, if it was like last time, I would be in the middle, and those books would be covering me completely. I could make faces at you, and you would never know.
Stop that, stop that, stop that. This is Serval's son. And I really, okay. Yay sayers. Okay, I'll send you up. Let's do some D and Carolyn photo, or some D and Carolyn or D and Kris photos. That was in Bellevue. That was when they surprised me, a few weeks after they surprised me with the car. That's the day after we went to, or the day we went to Shambhala to meet Deacon for the first time. They wanted to meet Deacon in the worst way, and we'd been in Southern California for about eight months, and they still hadn't met Deacon, so they asked us to drive him up to Shambhala to meet Deacon. And then on the way back, he said, they took us to Hamburger Hamlet, and Dee said, "Come on in the backyard, I want you to meet our Myrtle." So we met Dee's desert tortoise then, and Sue Keenan took that picture in his backyard. This is me with one of the goats when they were a baby, me with Romeo. This is Dee and Deacon and me up at Shambhala. This is Deacon when he was a baby. Oh, and here's him a little bit older. Here's dear Dee and Deacon and me. Here's Poppy. Deacon was the best Papa kitty ever. He just loved kittens, and he would let them bowl him over. They could come out of careening off his back end and knock him over, and he would pretend like he was the best victim in the world. And here's that one. I showed you that one earlier. This is one of my favorite pictures right here. I just love that photo. And when I went to the affection training school, I told you about Gentle Jungle and Betty White, Ralph Huffer being a regular on Betty White's pet set. I attended his affection training school, and this is Doc, who was in the Battlestar Galactica outfit of the little robot. This is one of the tiger cubs giving me a kiss. This is me filming one tiger cub while another one attacks from the back. Well, not actually attacks, but just kind of like sacks out on me. This is up at Cougar Mountain when I was volunteering at Cougar Mountain. That's Dreyfus the leopard. Here's another one of Dreyfus. Here's one of a little bobcat. I call this one Cat Got Your Tongue. Gabriel, that was the raccoon that I raised with Deacon. These are the 2 fawns I raised after the Mount St. Helens eruption when their mothers were killed. And this is my nephew bottle feeding the little babies. This is a close-up of Deacon. Dee and Carolyn put this photo. Did you get removed by accident, or did you?
I just put it in the private chat. I lost Wi-Fi for a second.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I thought I lost you, so I was just speaking to a computer. I'm like, please send a comment. Did we lose Kris?
Okay. No, I've been showing photos. This is Dee and Carolyn included this photo in their Christmas card one year without bothering to mention who the cat was or how they came in possession of this cat. So Carolyn said, "Oh my gosh, we must have got 100 letters back saying, when did you get that cat? Where did you get that cat? What are you doing with that cat?" She said, so I had to send out another bunch of answers. She said, "I'm never, ever going to put your cat in our Christmas photos again." This is the bag Dee and Carolyn sent when we moved from Washington to California so Deacon would have his very own travel bag. All of these stories are by the way, in my book. There's Charlie. There's a picture of Charlie. I guess that's all the photos I'm going to show. Oh, wait. Here's a couple. Dee and Carolyn, taken by Bill Dow in my backyard. Oh, I was gonna backload. I was gonna upload the funny ones where I was squeaking squeaky toys at them.
Oh yeah, Doggy Dee and Kitty Carolyn.
I have to make myself a note and do that next time. Here's the gotcha shirt.
Yes. That whole thing from your book just brought me so much joy.
That's the gotcha shirt. I love that shirt. Yep. Here's Aviator D when he was a puppy. One of the few things that survived a house fire that they had. Here's me back in the day in my DeForest shirt. The company couldn't make the little D in DeForest, so I had to do it that way. Here is what I'm posting right now to get people to buy my book. This Valentine's Day, meet a real sweetheart. Here's Dee with various critters. This one was at North Shore Animal League. This is their dog, Cheers. This was at North Shore Animal League, and this was when he was a cowboy, probably back in the late 50s or early 60s. And here's one. I'm gone but not forgotten.
Never. Oh, that must be Megan.
Here's a picture how to bathe a serval cat.
Oh my gosh.
They'll give you 12 minutes. They'll give you 12 minutes and then they'll say, "I'm getting out." Here's when I met Carl Urban and at the Seattle Comic Con to give him one of Dee's neckerchiefs. I wanted him to know what a good job he did as McCoy and that Dee would love him as McCoy. And so I gave him a neckerchief there. Let's see. There's me on a walk up at the Billy Frank thingy. This is one of my favorite photos. That looks so writerly. Here's me on a bridge. I bike about 100 miles a week during the summer, and this was up on the Ording Trail. And here's me with Roger. Roger and his daughter came up to meet me a couple of months ago.
It's still you on the bike.
Isn't that So Me on the Bike? It is definitely So Me on the Bike. Yep. Okay, we got comments now. I actually thought this guy was hot coming into my store, and it turned out it was my coworker's husband. She still gets a laugh out of it. We're good friends now. You're lucky you have a picture. I had a black screen and no sound till a few minutes ago. Wow. I wonder.
Speaking of the picture of you on a bike is still up.
I know that. Oh, okay. I guess I better get rid of that.
I just don't want it to turn into a walrus woman thing again.
Okay. Let's see. I got to find it to get rid of it. There it is. Okay, bye. Okay. Yeah, I'm good at that. I'm very good at that. Okay, let me go back to the comments. I love deer. I do too. After raising those two little deer that were orphans from the Mount St. Helens eruption, I was out in the forested area one time, and I saw a baby deer and her mother, and I went, beep, beep, to the little baby deer, because that's the way the little baby deer sounded to me. And the little deer started to come toward me, and I went, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. Valentine's Day is coming. Yeah, that's why I have that thing up on my Facebook page now about this year, meet a real sweetheart. So, yeah, private chat. Oh, the private chat we already did. Okay. I don't know what happened there. I did notice you went bye-bye, and I thought maybe there was some noise in the background and you had muted yourself for some reason.
No, it just, I lost Wi-Fi for a second.
So I was glad I was out there showing my photos and not freaking over that. I just thought, well, she must have muted herself for a minute, so I'll just keep going. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. Roger says, just don't let it go more than 5 seconds without saying something. I'm like, okay, here we go. I'll show pictures. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we're pretty much caught up here. We don't have any more comments coming in. So I think we'll call it a day. And everybody, those who view this later, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you can join us live the next time. And the next time we're going to do this is February, 2 weeks from today. Is that the 8th? Let me look and see. No, it's the 12th. February 12th is the next time we do this. We have a podcast every other Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Unless you guys just clamor and want it weekly, that's the way we're going to do it. Here's one more comment. Let's see what we got. We have an albino up in Minocqua. I'm not sure how to say that name, Deary. The family raised him after finding him in the woods hurt. They saved his life. If they wanted her then, they'd just call Deary and she'd come out of the woods. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Oh, Tammy says she may have that day off. Okay, Tammy, I want you to get brave if you have that day off, and I want you to come and co-host with us. Oh, listen, you go, I don't have that day off. No. It's fun. It really is fun. It's just, a few people getting together to have fun and share laughs and lift each other up. So there's no, what do they say? No pressure. Just come have fun.
None at all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to meet Hannah someday. They got a camper, and they're going to come out to the West Coast, and they promised they're going to stop and meet me. So I can't wait. Hopefully sometime this year. And we will let you know. Maybe we'll do a podcast together when you're here, if you come on a Saturday.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Okay. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope you will tell other people about this. You can catch the debut, last week's one. Amy Yulin was on also on that one. And Tammy Armstrong said, I'd love to meet you both. Well, my door is always open. If you can
I'd like to meet you too, Tammy.
If you can get here, I will open my door. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. And Hannah, you and I will talk for just a couple of minutes afterwards. Okay? All righty. Thank you. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
See you guys.